Hello, travel friends! Today we are going to read this exciting book about California, and you will learn a lot of cool and fun facts about this state, whether you live here or whether you plan to travel here with your parents. So let's read the book, which is called G is for Golden, California Alphabet. A is for Alcatraz, an island in San Francisco Bay. A fun place to visit, but you wouldn't want to stay. So Alcatraz was a prison for very dangerous criminals. Nowadays it's a museum, and it's a fun place to visit if you take a ride on a ferry from San Francisco. B is for Bear Flag, a star and stripe on cotton, and of course the grizzly, who is gone but not forgotten. Well, did you know that grizzly bears used to live in California? Unfortunately, they don't roam the hills of California anymore, but we do have a lot of black bears. So if you travel to the Sierra Nevada mountains, there is a good chance you'll see them. One important thing to remember, if you camp in Sierra Nevada mountains, you have to hide all your food in bear boxes, because they love to come to campgrounds and munch on your food. C is for Chinatown, where the golden dragon will appear, dancing through the streets every Chinese New Year. So Chinatown is a part of San Francisco. It is a great place to visit during the Chinese New Year celebrations, but not only during that time. It's really a great place to stop by any time of the year, to eat in Chinese restaurants, to shop in local unique shops, and it feels like traveling to China without crossing the ocean. D is for Death Valley, and you can search the nation, but you'll never find a lower elevation. So Death Valley is one of the 9 national parks in California. And it's not only the lowest place in the United States, it's also the hottest. The hottest temperature that was recorded here was 134 degrees Fahrenheit. So you think, why would I want to go there? Well, it's a great place to visit in winter and early spring when the flowers start to bloom after winter rains. E is for explorers who sailed seas of blue and green, searching for cities of gold and lands they'd never seen. So a lot of explorers came to California looking for gold. There were explorers from Britain and Spain. And did you know that there were also Russians here in California? The northern part of California was Russian territory. And so if you travel there, you can find such places as Russian River and Moscow Road and Fort Ross. Fort Ross is a great state park. It used to be a stronghold of Russian territory, and now you can go there, take a guided tour, and learn about the life in the fort many years ago, and also see some cultural presentations and learn about Russia, also without crossing the ocean. F is for 49ers, who came for fame and glory. Some went home with sacks of gold, and some with just their story. So, in 1848, gold was discovered in California, and by 1849, a lot of people struck it rich. So that's why they're called 49ers. But also, there is a famous football team in San Francisco that is called 49ers. G is for Golden State, named for the gold they mine, and some say for the rolling hills that turn brown in summertime. So I tell you a secret. You can still mine gold in California if you know where to do that. And also, if you come to California in summer and beginning of fall, you will see those golden hills. I wouldn't say they turn color brown, they actually turn color bright yellow. H is for Hollywood, where many a famous name is just beneath your feet along the Walk of Fame. So Hollywood is a place where nowadays all movies, or most of the movies and cartoons, are made in the United States. But can you believe that only 100 years ago it was a small farm town of only 4,000 people? You can visit Hollywood if you travel to Los Angeles area. is Aishi, who awoke one morning to find, of all the Yahi tribe in the world, he was the last of his kind. As you may know, Native American people lived on the territory of the United States before European settlers came. And there were several Native American tribes who lived in California too. Unfortunately, a lot of Native American people died because of the disease that Europeans brought with them. And she was the last man of his tribe. J is for John Steinbeck, whose stories of the lives of working men and women won the Nobel Prize. So John Steinbeck lived in Salinas, California, and he wrote more than 25 books. I hope you can read them in middle and high school. K is for kelp, a forest underwater. We may call it weed, but it's home to the sea otter. So kelp forest is very important for the ecosystem of the ocean in California. And it is important because a lot of animals, a lot of sea creatures depend on kelp forest for food and protection. And the cutest California animal, the sea otter, lives in the kelp forest. And one thing I would like to tell you about it, it is the only animal, in addition to humans, that actually uses tools in its daily life. It uses stones to help it open the seashells so that she can extract food from it. L is for Levi's and the 49ers who by chance made their fame and fortune with a pair of pants. So remember I told you about those 49ers who came to California to look for gold? Well, they worked outside a lot and it was a very hard job. So they needed very good pants. And the man called Levi Strauss created those pants for them. And they became so popular that people nowadays love them. And you can find them pretty much in every store. And the headquarters of the company are still located in San Francisco. And it is 150 years old. M is for the missions, a place to live, work and pray. From Sonoma to San Diego, each one a day's walk away. So missions were built in California by Catholic monks who built them in order to teach Native American people about religion and about life skills like farming. Unfortunately, all good intentions not always turn out good for people. So Europeans brought disease and Native American people who lived in missions, a lot of them died, unfortunately. And so these days, you can see those 21 missions as museums. You can learn about the history of the state, about Native American people, and they usually have very beautiful architecture and very beautiful gardens. But most importantly, they teach us a good lesson. N is for natural history and the place where it was possible to stop for a drink and turn into a fossil. So there is a place in the city of Los Angeles where there used to be tar pits. And those were the pools of tar where animals got stuck and died there. That happened in prehistoric times, thousands of years ago. And nowadays, a lot of bones are located in those tar pits. So all these bones were collected and now displayed in the Museum of Natural History in Los Angeles. It's a fantastic place to visit, so stop by if you're in town. O is for ocean, where it's easy to see a whale. Just look for a waterspout or a very big gray tail. So you can see a lot of different whales off the coast of California. From December to March, you can see gray whales migrating from the north to south and then back to Alaska. But in summer, you can see killer whales and humpback whales that come to the rich waters of Northern California to feed. And you can see them in Monterey Bay and along the San Francisco Bay Area coast. P is for poppy, whose petals bright and bold cover the hills and valleys with California gold. So poppy is California flower, and you can see it from the month of March to the month of May, depending on the part of California. So in Southern California you will see it earlier, and in, for instance, San Francisco Bay Area you will see it in April. So if you come here for a spring break, don't miss this flower. Q is for the valley quail. In case you hadn't heard, in California it's the one we've picked as our state bird. So California quail are really fun little birds. You can't see them in town, but if you go to a state or national park, it's very likely that you'll see them. They do travel in groups, so it's easy to spot them. R is for redwood, the tallest tree we know. The oldest ones were born thousands of years ago. So redwoods, the coastal redwoods, are the tallest living trees in the world. And you can find them in Redwoods National Park in the north of California. But the cousin of coastal redwood is sequoia tree. Giant sequoias are the fattest or biggest trees in the world, so the biggest in diameter, and you can see them in the Sequoia National Park in the Sierra Nevada mountains. S is for Sacramento, the city that is home to our state government and the Capitol Dome. So if you visit Sacramento, you need to stop by the Old Town. This is basically like time travel without a time travel machine. You can take a train ride on an old train, visit a train museum, visit an old school that was turned museum too, visit some interesting shops and restaurants. So it's a nice little area that tells you about the history of California and its capital. T is for television, the screen that had its birth in San Francisco lab of Philo T. Farnsworth. So this man we have to thank for the creation of the television that most of us have at home. U is for United Nations, when the world said no more and countries came together to put an end to war. United Nations, the organization, gets together in New York City, and you may know that there's a United Nations building there. But the first gathering took place in 1945 in San Francisco, California, when Britain, China, Soviet Union, and United States invited 50 nations to form the United Nations organization to protect the peace in the world. V is a vineyard, where grapes grow on the vine for California raisins and California wine. So California has a great climate for grapes growing. So if you like grapes or you like raisins, you do need to visit California. And of course there are a lot of wineries here, and many of them are family friendly, where parents can learn about winemaking and wine history, and kids can play outside because they have a lot of games. W is for Watchtowers, 3 dazzling spires honoring Americans in concrete, steel and wire. You can see this interesting monument if you visit the city of Los Angeles. X is of Xanadu, a place in a far-off land, and a California castle that's just about as grand. So Xanadu is a nickname for Hearst Castle that is located in San Simeon on the central California coast. Now it's a state park, but it's a huge castle built by William Hearst with several dozen of rooms and a beautiful garden and several pools that you can visit on a tour. It's like traveling to a fairy tale castle. Y is for Yosemite, whose walls of towering granite were carved 1 million years ago when ice ruled the planet. Yosemite National Park is one of the most famous national parks in California, and it's famous for its towering walls of granite, but also its waterfalls. The best time to come here is in May, when the waterfalls are flowing because the snow is melting in the mountains. But as I said, There are overall 9 national parks in California, and I do encourage you to visit them all because they're all very different and all very beautiful. Z is for Zorro, a tale from long ago when in New California was still Old Mexico. So the legend of Zorro is similar to the legend of Robin Hood. It is about a gentleman who was trying to protect poor people if they were abused by the rich people. And so this legend came to be about 150 years ago. And since then, there were a lot of books written about Zorro and movies. So maybe you've seen one of the movies or read one of the books. It's an interesting legend specific to the state of California. So that's California from A to Z, a golden state. It's plain to see. So I hope you learned something new about California from this book. There's a lot more information that you can read if you get this book, and you can get the link in the description of the video that takes you to the place where you can buy this book if you want to learn more. But I also hope you will be able to visit the state and go see some of these interesting places. So if you want to learn more information about those places, you can check out my other videos on my channel, and we have videos about state parks and national parks and even the Hearst Castle. So check them out, and if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. I'll bring you more interesting stories about other states in the United States and other countries. Stay tuned!